Today, we're going to talk about migration. Migration isn't just a headline anymore, it's a tool used by powerful groups across Europe to shape politics and sell fear. But what do the actual experts and data say? We will dive into the insights of what migration is, look at the economic impact of the movement of people, and to understand the true impact of the modern migrant, and where do these harmful myths come from. We often hear the same claims about migrants. They steal our jobs, increase crime, or join welfare systems. But before diving into the data, let's talk about how we label people who move. Right leaning parties often divide migrants into expats and illegals, a line drawn mostly along race. While white Westerns abroad become expats, others are seen as threats. On the left, the split is between refugees and colonialists, again shaped by background and skin color. These labels aren't just words, they influence public perception. Yes, migration has been destructive in history. Think about European colonization. But that's not the same as modern migration, which is driven by survival or opportunity. And while many people flee real crises, not everyone who moves is a refugee. So instead of arguing over labels, let's look at what the data tells us about migration in Europe. This chart might seem a bit overwhelming at first, but let's break it down step by step. In the top left corner, you will see a map of the European Union. It's color coded by migration rate. The darker the blue, the higher the migration rate. We are looking at the year 2023, the most recent data available. Countries like Spain, Ireland, Germany, Croatia, Romania stand out, with migration rates above 1.5%. That means for every 100 people living in those countries, about 1.5 are new migrants. Just next to it, you will see a bar chart showing the GDP per capita of European countries, essentially how wealthy they are. Do you notice something? The countries with the highest GDP per capita, like Luxembourg, Ireland, Netherlands, and Denmark, also have the darkest shades of blue on the map. That's not a coincidence. It clearly shows that migrants are attracted to opportunity, to places with economies and better prospects. And if you scroll throughout years, like 2022, 2021, and 2020, we can see that the pattern still holds. We can see that these countries, which show the highest GDP per capita, the wealthiest countries, also have the darkest shades of blue. Now, let's tackle a common claim. Migrants bring crime. The scatter plot below compares migration rates with overall crime rates. The result? There is no meaningful relationship at all. The R-squared value, which tells us how closely two things are related, is extremely low. In short, the data shows no link between more migrants and more crime. That myth doesn't hold up. If we switch the chart to compare migration rates with unemployment, the outcome is the same. No significant correlation as we see here. So no, migrants aren't stealing our jobs. Now, the line chart. If we look at how things have changed over time from 2015 to 2023, we see something interesting. Migration increased especially after 2020, as we see here. If the usual logic applies, that migrants are stealing our jobs, that would mean that this line of unemployment, either it would remain stable or increase. In this case, it just decreases, showing that the claim that migrants steal our jobs is also false. I would go even further beyond that claim, and I would say that migrants in fact create jobs. So migrants don't take jobs, they don't cause crime, and they fill gaps in the labor markets, often in sectors that are undersatisfied. Lastly, let's take a look on the political map. This map shows the political leanings of European countries over time. Countries shaded orange are leaning right, while countries showing blue colors lean left. From a scale from 0 to 10, a 10 means extreme right, and a 0 means extreme left. Values in the middle, 5 or less, or close to 5, means centrist. So we can see here countries like Poland stand out, with values with like 6.3%. If we go through our years, 2021, 2022, 2023, we can see a somewhat pattern emerge. In the last 3-4 years, some countries have become more orange than others, such as Italy, and as we mentioned before, Poland. This could be due to the increased migration rate. It's possible that public fear around migration is fueling political change, even if the data tells a different story. So let's be clear. The numbers don't show chaos. They show movement, growth, and opportunity. The challenge isn't migration itself, but how we respond to it. So, if migration reflects economic strength and the data contradicts most of the fears pushed by the far right, why are radical right-wing movements gaining support across Europe? One answer: poverty. Studies show that poorer people are more likely to support far-right politics, regardless of ethnicity. Yes, GDP has grown across Europe since 2020, but so has the cost of living. In countries like Spain and Poland, food prices have jumped over 25%. People feel poorer, and when the system is too complex to blame, migrants become the scapegoat. The reality is that many of these migrants do essential jobs that keep the economies running. If we keep targeting them, we risk collapsing the very sectors that depend on their labor. To finish, we only can say one thing. In a world where land, capital, and labor are seen as essential resources, why are migrants still viewed as threats instead of assets? Migration is a natural process. Just like birds crossing borders to survive, humans move for the same reasons: to live, to work, to grow. And just like natural migration supports ecosystems, human migration strengthens economies, if we choose to see it that way.